Hi there, I'm Matt from MJ Triathlon Coaching. And if you, like me, get a bit frustrated with the odd instructors just demonstrating one or two exercises and then say have a go, well, hopefully this is more in line with what you're looking for. So on my YouTube, basically I'm just going to upload some triathlon specific strength training, but I'm going to do it alongside you. So very simply, just put the video on, copy the exercises, make sure that obviously you're really well warmed up, make sure that you can actually do these exercises, that the doctor's cleared you to be able to do them, and they're really for people that are involved in triathlon specific training already. And this is that fifth element, really hopefully to obviously help reduce, keep injuries low, but also improve their strength and just make sure that they're getting the most out of their potential with regards to triathlon. Okay, so I'm going to start off with some resistance based bands, just a nice 10 reps on easy. This is a resistance band here. You can pick them up from most sort of supermarkets, they're not very expensive. Find a nice safe anchor point that you can put it on. I'm just using my bike part here, but obviously that is anchored to a Wahoo kicker, and that's nice and heavy, but just make sure either a banister rail or something like that, that it's really anchored very strongly. Okay, just going to start off using exercises like what we would normally do when we're swimming. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking, so hopefully you can see with regards to the technique and obviously the exercises, I'll talk them through as well. And I'll obviously just post what the exercises are at the bottom of this link, so you can obviously just refresh yourself so that you don't always need the video if you want to have a go. Okay, first exercise very simply is going to be the bicep curl, so body up nice and high, nice and tight, abdominal switched on, and it's very simply 10 repetitions on each side. Obviously I can't play any music, so hopefully you can put your music on, because YouTube obviously won't allow this video if I've got music going, but just nice tall body position, and just make sure that we're bringing it up towards our shoulder. If we're a bit far away, just wiggle your toes closer, and just going to do it for 10. Okay, so ready, each arm 10 reps, 20 reps in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, halfway, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. In swimming, obviously we do one arm then the other arm generally, and we don't often do arms at the same time, so it's probably best that you train that way too. Every muscle's got an opposite muscle, so opposite our biceps are our triceps here, so we're just going to work on that. That's mainly our pull action with regards to what we're doing. So just wiggle yourself a little bit closer forward, hands nice and close, and then we're going to just pull out for a full extension like we would in the swimming pool. Okay, so ready, and 1, 2, 3, keep it close to your body, 4, 5, 6, lean forward slightly, 7, 8, 9, 10, really squeeze at the top, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Good. Okay, so you should start feeling the burn with regards to the tricep muscles there. Okay, next one that we're actually going to do is a nice seated row. Now, you obviously can do it standing up, but it's better if you just take the load off your back. I've just got one of these exercise balls here that I'm sitting on. You can obviously use a chair, and then make sure again that you've got enough distance between you and the band, but not too much. So you're just going to have your hands in, just going to pull it out. This is called a seated row, all the way to your chest, your ribs, and then hands out forward. Okay, ready, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, breathe out when it's hard. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good job. Okay, next exercise we're actually going to go for is a seated shoulder press. Again, bring your seat slightly further forward. Okay, you can face the other way if you like on this one. It will give you a little bit better of a workout. Just going to work the front part of my shoulders here. Obviously shoulders play a key role in swimming. Just going to push it up nice and high and back down to the beginning. Okay, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. You should really feel it on the top of your deltoid muscles there, your shoulder muscles. Okay, next exercise we're going to look at is called a swimmer's pull. So very often your swim coach, if you've got a coach, will likely say keep your elbows high. Everyone thinks elbows high is that position. That's not what they mean. They mean when your arm is going in through the water, that you're bending your elbow and you're keeping your elbow nice and high at that point. That stops the water slipping off your arm and allows you to pull it back. Most swimmers, they don't realise that and they drop their arm down low, all the water comes out and away. So this exercise here is just getting you keeping your elbows really nice and high. Okay, so just make sure that you're just going to do one at a time, and then make sure that you've got your resistance bands about right so that your elbows are at 90 degrees to yourself and you're just keeping your palms pushing back as if you're pushing the water all the way back. Okay, so we're going to just do 10 on each arm. So ready, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good, you can alternate it, but I just find that the band moves a little bit too much when I do that. 1, and I can just really focus on 2, the quality there. You're always going to have one arm. 3, that's not quite as strong. 4, as the other arm. 5, 6, keep the elbow nice and high. 7, horizontal to the ground if you can. 8, 9, try and keep it vertical. 2, 10. Good job. Okay, you should really feel the blood going to that upper body. These are great exercises pre-swim if you can't get into the water before your race or something like that. If you've got one of these bands, you often see some of the more experienced swimmers using them. But obviously we don't want to fatigue the body. We want to get the blood flowing through it. We want to make sure that the muscles feel like they're ready to work, so that when you go in, 1, you're nice and warm because the water's generally freezing, especially in the UK, but 2, obviously it's just going to make sure that your body is working efficiently. Okay. Next exercise there is called the pinned elbow abduction. Okay, so abduction is when we take away. So what you're going to do is you're just going to pin your elbow into your ribs here. Notice I'm going to stand slightly sideways on, and we're just going to pull it back to here. Okay, so my elbow is actually into my side of my ribs, and I'm just pulling it back. From the front, you can see that I'm just pulling it back from there. Okay, so I'm sideways on, arms away from you, elbows pinned, and I'm just going to abduct my arm away. Okay, ready? We're going to do 10 and then switch. 1, nice and slow. 2, nothing's gained from going too quick. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Notice I'm holding it at the top. 9 and 10. Really nice, slow and controlled. You might be able to see it easier from this side. So elbows pinned here, okay, and just bringing it across and out. Okay, just move myself a little bit back so I've got good resistance on. Obviously the closer you are to your resistance anchor, the easier it's going to be than if you're further away, but make sure it's not too tight that you can't pull it all the way. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. Okay, and again, every muscles generally work in opposite movements as well. So this time, actually, what you can do, that was abducting, taking away to abduct. This one is adducting. So what you're actually going to do is, instead of my arm going in that direction there, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pin my elbow again, and I'm just going to bring it in towards the midline of my body. So that's called adduction. Okay, and we're going to do 10. Ready, elbow pinned to the side, 90 degrees, parallel with the ground, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Okay, switch sides. Okay, so again, this elbow is pinned to the side. I'm going to bring the arm in towards my body here. Use this other hand here just to help with the resistance. 1, 2, don't open up too far. 3, 4, keep the hand off the belly. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All of those exercises are really going to strengthen those arms. Just make sure that the ligaments and joints are nice and warm, and just going to make sure that you're nice and easily finding that swim, and you're going to build that sort of power onto there. Okay, so the next one is the lying chest butterfly. Again, you might actually find that it's much easier to face away on this particular one. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do just to show you. So literally I'm going to face away from where I'm working. You can obviously do this with dumbbells if you want to, but very simply we're just going to be pushing from our lying chest position here up to the top, elbows bent and hands touching at the top. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's quite a nice loosener in that with regards to that one. You might actually feel that when you've got your wetsuit on, obviously that's an exercise that you're probably going to find too restrictive, but that's just an idea of just opening up the chest a little bit more. Okay, and then what we've got here is we've got this very large muscle group, the trapezius muscles right on the top of our shoulders. They're obviously doing quite a lot of the work when we're bringing our arm all the way back. So essentially what we're going to do is just going to upright row. Okay, sometimes I call these frog's legs, they just look like they're right up by my ears. So effectively what you're going to do with your hands is bring them all the way up, hold at the top, and then bring them all the way down. So if you can anchor your point nice and low, that'll obviously help with regards to that movement too. Okay, so 10 of these, and 1, 2, 3, 4, elbows nice and high, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Okay, and then what we're going to do is the last one on here, okay, is just the final simulation. These are the ones you probably see people doing just before they're about to go into the water. That, and obviously open up themselves with regards to lunges. So very essentially, they're just going to rotate their arms all the way around, okay, and just keep it just moving here. We're just looking at this nice glide action. You can obviously rotate your body if you want to, all the way around. So we're just going to do we're going to do one arm, it's going to count as 10, but we're obviously going to rotate, so we're going to do 20 reps all in one go. So it's one arm first, and then the other arm second. Okay, ready and go. 1, glide through, 2, 3, don't pull back too far, 4, 5, 6, you can roll if you want to, 7, 8, 9, 10, halfway, 11, 12, nothing really to be going too quickly here, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Okay, and that's just very nice and easy way of using a resistance band. It takes you about 10 minutes. Obviously, if you've got your wetsuit on first, that obviously helps rather than trying to put a wetsuit on when you get really sweaty. Remember, with your wetsuits, just make sure that you are stretching out those hips when you're going in. So many people, they get into the water and then their hips, they don't work very effectively. They haven't got a very effective leg kick. So just make sure you really stretch out that wetsuit. Make sure obviously you stretch all around your chest, all around the arms. Make sure it gets all the way back. If you can get some water in, that will help too. And obviously brilliant if you can go in beforehand for 5 minutes, but very often they don't let you do that in too many races. So that's just a nice little resistance band warm up there, okay? If you're using it if you can't get into the swimming pool at the moment, most people can't, then you can do some sort of dry land sort of strength exercises. And I've tried to pick some of my favourite ones, but ones I think they're probably quite effective, and maybe bring in some pointers that you might not have thought of. Most of these exercises you can do obviously without any weights at all. If you are going to do weights, make sure that it's sensible, you build it up very gradually. Technique is far superior to obviously anything you can do with lifting too much heavy weights, so just make sure you always get your technique tested, and if you're doing anything with regards to sort of heavier weights, free weights, make sure that you do have a spotter with you at all times, okay? I've been very experienced in the triathlon industry and over 20 years of fitness instructing as a professional, so it's really important that obviously you just make sure you get your technique sorted out first, because you might think you're doing something, or even, you know, in modern technology, put your camera on, just check your technique is actually what it feels like, what you're actually seeing. Play it back to yourself and maybe even get somebody else to check for you. Okay, so now I'm just going to go on to some strength exercises here. Okay, now the first one I'm going to look at, and you can do 10 or 20 reps of these. For today, I'm just going to do 10 reps. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it up. Rather than do, you know, 10 reps, have a rest, 10 reps, have a rest, 10 reps, which you generally find you do in a gym. What I want to do is try and flush the muscles with loads of blood and just basically use your body's mechanism of just shunting the blood up and down through your body so that you don't build up too much lactic acid and we might lose our technique. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 10 reps on one body part, then shift the blood down to a different body part, then back up to the middle, just compartmentalise the blood a little bit more. It's just a nice effective way of maybe being able to push ourselves effectively a little bit further than what we would normally. Okay, right, the first one I'm going to start with is actually the squats. With regards to sort of the squat exercises, you don't have to use any weights at all. So the first time I'm going to do it, I'm obviously not going to use any weights. Just going to put my hands across my shoulder. I'm going to show you sideways on, and then really importantly, just make sure your feet are sort of hip width apart or just shoulder width apart if you can. Okay, push your bum back, and then essentially what you're going to do is I'm only going to do sort of a half squat to about here, because when you're on the bicycle, you're never going into this great big deep squat here. And if anything, you're going to load the back, or your technique's not going to be perfect. So I'm just going to kind of call these half squats to here. Okay, just this exercise here is really important. Your knees don't go over your toes, your bottom's pushed right back as if you were going to sit on an imaginary seat. My spine's lovely and straight, and that's what yours needs to be as well. Okay, so 10 reps of this one. Ready and go. And down, 1. 2, you can always check your balance at the top if you want by going up onto your toes. 3, a little bit harder, and that loads the body a bit. 4, 5, it's good if you can do it 6, sideways on into a mirror so you can see your technique. 7, 8, doesn't have to be fast. 9, just loading up the quadriceps and the glutes. 10, okay, major muscle groups there that we need to make sure that we're using, okay? Then I'm going to flush the blood from my legs. I'm going to just put it up into my chest, into my triceps, my shoulders. I'm going to start with some press ups. Now, I've always found that to protect my wrists, something like this, okay, you can probably pick them up from Argos or somewhere like that, although during this this climate it's very difficult to get hold of exercise equipment, but generally you put those on in the floor and they'll really protect your wrists from getting injured, especially if you find that you've got sort of slightly weak wrists. Otherwise, just hands. Effectively here, you can obviously do half press ups if you want, but hopefully most of you have been doing this a little while, so full press ups, 10 of those you'll be able to manage, okay? So effectively what we're going to look for is hands roughly shoulder width apart, not too wide and obviously not too narrow. Our body position's nice and tight, almost in a plank position. We're just keeping our chest slightly off the ground, our chin up, head facing forward. I'm just going to do 10 of these. Ready and go. Breathe out on the effort. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keep everything tight. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even better if you can keep your stomach nice and tight while you're doing that particular exercise. Okay, after that, then we're going to stay on the floor and we're just going to do some single leg flutters. Okay, very good for swimming. Obviously, when we swim, we try and utilise the whole of our leg when we're actually kicking rather than just bending at the knee, which you see some weaker swimmers do. But you need very good strong core, coming powerful through the hips, the glutes, hip flexors, all the way through. So this is quite a nice one, little leg flutters here. So effectively it's 10 on each leg, so it'll be 20 reps in total. I always find if I put my hands just underneath the lower part of my back, okay, if you have got back issues, you're probably best leaving this one. But essentially, with regards to that, the lower you are, the more strain you put on your back, the higher you are, the easier it is up to there, okay? So essentially, we're just gonna keep our legs nice and high and forward,
and just off the ground, and we're just going to flutter them to that for there, okay? Ready, 3, 2, 1, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, you can bring those reps in. Obviously you can double that if you want to. Remember, you've got 3 rounds, so maybe go easy on the first one and then gradually build it up as you go all the way through. Tricep kickbacks. Now, again, you can either use a nice lightweight dumbbell, a slightly heavier dumbbell, or you can even use a kettlebell for this one here. Just for ease, I'm just going to use these nice bright green ones so you can obviously see what I'm doing with regards to the technique. Okay, so generally I'll always try and do sort of one arm and then rotate into the opposite arm. I'll also show you from both ways as well. For an extra sort of pull, what you can do is you can twist it up towards the ceiling, up to that part here. So just making sure that we're kicking it back. Little twist will just overload those triceps a little bit more, and obviously just slow you right down so that your technique's good. Notice I've only gone for a little bend, but that's from the waist, okay, not from the back essentially. So just making sure that we're kicking back and then bringing it back to here. Okay, there's no point going really fast because you're not then overloading the triceps, you just obviously turn it into a bit of a hip and lower back exercise. Okay, so essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, keep going, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Good. Okay, so you should really feel a burn on the back of those tricep muscles there. They're responsible for a lot of the load with regards to our swimming and our pull phase. Okay, right, after that what we're going to do is then going to flush the body back down to our legs, and we're going to do some lunges. Again, with technique, never let the knee go over the toe. Okay, and also you can try off, if you are a beginner, you can just make sure that you're going into a sort of a half lunge as opposed to going all the way down to 90-90. Obviously you are going to load up the front leg even more, but if your knee goes over your toe, you're not actually going to do a very good job there. Probably easier just to stay on one side. If you've got something to look at straight into a mirror, you can obviously keep your body nice and in line there. Okay, you can make this one harder by simply, you can lunge into it forward, then return back to the middle, or you can obviously have your feet forward, a little bit harder, lunge back. But if you've got any knee issues, probably avoid the lunging on that one. Or you might find that you need to hold on to something, but please don't go so low, and obviously avoid it if you have got any sort of knee issues. Little exercises before that could be build up on your particular strength. Okay, I generally find hands on hips is quite a nice one, and just bring it down to there. Okay, so you're just going to do 10 on one leg, 10 on the other, and 1, don't go too quick, 2, 3, 4, check your knee, 5, 6, stay nice and tall, 7, don't let the stomach go soft, 8, 9, and 10, then switch legs. I'm just going sideways for you on this one. Okay, so, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good job. Okay, just shake them off. Okay, again, we've got to flush that blood away from those, especially on lunges, really gets the blood sort of going. So what we're going to do now is just what's called a single arm row. You might find sort of something like a kettlebell is a little bit easier, a little bit more comfortable, seeing as there's not a lot of twisting there. Now you can obviously use a block, you can sort of simply even just do it on the floor and just leaning over like so. Just make sure your body is nice and straight, okay? You're just going to do a single arm row to here. You can obviously do it a variety of different pieces of equipment on there, but you're just pulling it up. Try not to twist your upper body, try and keep everything nice and straight, nice and central, shoulders, hips, nice and central, and you're just going to actually just row this one all the way up to here. Okay, so I'll just go from the side, and 1, 2, 3, try and avoid it touching the ground, 4, so you keep the load on, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can also do it obviously bent over or much further sort of from standing position so that you're in here, but again, just no need to sort of stress or load up the back. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Okay. Now on this next exercise, we're just going to try and flush the blood back down to the legs, but we're going to try and look at the hamstrings now. Okay, lunges very much sort of worked on our quadriceps and our glute muscles. Now we're going to work on the hamstrings. They're responsible for bringing our heels up to our bottom, so really good obviously when we're running, because we would have front loaded our quads with regards to doing quite a lot of the work on the bicycle, and therefore the pulling up phase is not as important effectively as it would be during the last parts of the run. We really need to keep our legs moving. Okay, so very simply you can obviously use different pieces of equipment like this barbell, for example. Again, you know, I am a conditioned sort of athlete, so I know exactly what weight this is. Make sure you don't just rock up somewhere and go, oh, I'll try and lift that weight. Always start nice and light. Now this exercise is called the deadlift, and I'm just going to do a few of these, and then I'm going to give you a slightly easier activity just to make sure that you're still learning how to use the hamstrings, okay? So very essentially, what you need to do on this one here, okay? Feet hip width apart again, okay? Hands just slide down, making sure that you're grabbing the bar here. Notice my back's nice and straight, okay? Make sure your hands are nice and in the middle of the bar. And then very simply, you don't want the bar to touch the ground or the weights to touch the ground, but you're just sliding your hands down to your knees, okay? And then when you feel the pull, you're just going to bring it back to here. Obviously, more conditioned athletes will come down to about this level and push up, but just making sure that you're aware of what your limitations are. Better to start gentle. You don't want to be aching tomorrow and for the next day and the next day, and then you're unable to do any of the work. So just make sure everything's switched on with regards to that, and then obviously you can do 10 of those particular exercises. If you haven't got access to a barbell or something like that, there isn't anything really stopping you from using some weights or some kettlebells, and effectively you're kind of doing the same action. Just imagine that the bar is in front of you so that your hands are there in front, and you're just bringing it up, okay? Try and make sure you go to full extension at the top. Try and keep your stomach and your abs nice and tight all the way through. Back nice and straight. Don't have to go so low. Too many people go far too low, puts unnecessary load on your knees. Okay, you're not trying to be weightlifters here. You are trying to be conditioned triathletes, those that are injury free. There's also the little bottle grab technique, okay, with regards to one of those. So very simply, you can put a bottle out in front of you, okay, and then what you're going to do is just off one leg, okay, you're going to lift your back leg up, okay, and then you're just going to reach out, and then you're just going to grab the bottle and then pull it here. Still going to work those hamstrings, okay, and then obviously you can switch with the other leg and maybe concentrate on putting one leg back down and then switching it across, so maybe one hand picks up and the opposite leg goes all the way back, and then all the way through, switch, and then put it back down again. Just a nice simple exercise. You can use alternate arms to legs, whichever you feel that you've got the most balance and control over, or once you've got that, then maybe challenge yourself with regards to those particular activities. So that's the deadlift one, or effectively the bottle lift on that particular exercise there. Okay, and then from that activity, what we're going to do is we're going to do some lateral raises. So again, our shoulders here are really responsible, especially when we swim, of getting our arm out and then back in the water. The quicker we can do that, the more muscular endurance we've got to continue to do that with really good clearance. We're not going to then catch our hands on a wave or on the water, and we're going to be able to keep that turnover, that cadence effectively nice and high, that swim action, okay? So effectively what you're going to do is, again, you can choose either bottles of water, you can do it with nothing, or you can obviously use different weights that you want to, okay? Remember, it's about sort of isolating those muscles there. When you're doing it, just make sure that you're obviously not going to hit anything that's around you, okay? Be aware of your environment and just try and keep your arm nice and straight, okay? With regards to that, slightly soft in the elbows, but just lifting them up, okay? So you can see that. I'll do it on this arm here so I don't go through the wall or the mirror, okay? And you can see that I'm just really isolating the deltoid muscles on here. So we're going to do it together. You ready? 10 of these, and 1, try and avoid your hips and backs moving. 2, keep your core, your stomach switched on, squeeze your bottom, your glutes. 3, too many athletes neglect their glutes. 4, that leads to lower back issues, so really squeeze them tight. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. Okay, dumbbells then go away. And then we're on to our next exercise, which are calf lowers. Now, a lot of people will concentrate on raising their calves, but they never really kind of work on the eccentric loading of the calf, really stretching that calf, and working also the soleus muscle a little bit as well if they've got their knee nice and bent. Everyone thinks about the gastroc muscle, but generally when you're falling apart on the run, it's often that weaker soleus muscle that's a result of it. Now, I've just got some yoga blocks here, okay? You might want something that's slightly wider, slightly firmer. Just deciding, make sure that you are, obviously, it's not too high and that you don't sort of fall off it. I'm just holding on to the side of this plyometric box here. Very simply, just make sure that you check that your feet are nice and secure, and then you're just going to lower and just hold that low part. Of course, come up onto your tiptoes after, but then just slowly control the downward movement. Okay, if you want to, you can obviously bend your knees in that one, and that gives a greater stretch to the soleus. Keep your knees nice and soft, push up onto your tiptoes, hold it for 2 at the top, and lower. Okay, so we're going to do 10 of these. Ready, and up to the top, and slowly lower. 1, up to the top, and lower. 2, up, lower. 3, up, try bending those knees a little bit. 4, up. 5, keep everything tight, up. 6, up. 7, see if your heels can touch the floor. 8, up and lower. 9, last one, up, hold it and lower, hold and carefully come off. Excellent. Okay, so you should really feel a bit of a burn in those calf muscles there, the soleus muscle and the gastrocnemius on the way up. Okay, so on the last one of this, okay, before we go into the next round where it's going to speed up a little bit, essentially these are elbow taps. So we're going to hold the plank position. We're not going to allow our body to rock and roll, our hips to roll. Just a nice strong position all the way through the core. We're just going to opposite tap, okay, and that's obviously for 20 because so it's 10 on each arm. All right, so assume a really nice strong position. Okay, so this is our sort of press up position and our plank position here. Again, if you've got any wrist injuries, maybe avoid this one, but very simply, without rolling and doing that, okay, keep your body nice and tight over the middle. 1, 2, you can have your feet slightly wider if you like. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Good job. Okay, now it's so important that you don't underestimate the core, okay, because it's going to be fundamental in your technique for all your swimming. Holding that nice tight aero position, you know, saving as many watts as you can as you blast through the wind in your cycling position, and then obviously so that you don't collapse and lean forward and reduce your hip movement when it comes to your run. So really don't try and neglect those. Obviously we've done our resistance pulls, you won't need to do that again. So essentially you do that for 10, that's our warm up, and then we'll move straight into these exercises, okay? So see if you can keep up on this one. We'll start from the squats and work our way down, okay? Ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. Okay, remember if you need any weights, then obviously just pick them up. Okay, straight into our press ups. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you do wear a cap when you're working out, it's quite a good distance from obviously the floor as well. So obviously stops you from hitting your face, so that's quite a good one. Okay, next one is single leg flutters. So remember, 20 of these, keep your tummy nice and tight, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. Bend your knees before you get up. This one takes the loading off the spine. Next one is tricep kickbacks. So again, just use your dumbbell, and 1, then change, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Good job. Put them away safely. Okay, next one is lunges. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice I'm pulsing up. 7, 8, just isolates it. 9, and 10. Obviously, if you've got more time, you can obviously step into it, step back into it, switch legs. 1, 2, keep everything forward. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You'll always feel lunges, so kick them off. Next one is a single arm row. So decide what piece of equipment you're going to use for it. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, make sure you're putting away your weight safely. After single arm row, we've got deadlifts. So I will use the bar on this one, but if you want to use the boulder pickups, that's totally fine. Okay, we start at the top, and lower, and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. Put the weights down gently. Always look after that back. After our deadlifts, our lateral raises. So again, sideways on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. Okay, after lateral raises is our calf lowers. Just make sure that it's nice and secure, the foundation you're going onto. Start at the top and down. 1, 2, 3, just let your heels kiss the ground. 4, bend your knees slightly. 5, make sure they don't bend in. 6, up on toes. 7, 8, really control that descent. 9, one more. 10, good job. Okay, and then last exercise on this round, opposite elbow taps. Okay, make sure we're not rocking from side to side, feet slightly hip width apart, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, spread your fingers. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Well done. So that's a completion of lap 2. Got one more round left of 10. If you think you need to either increase your weights, make sure you do that. Don't forget to obviously always stay nice and hydrated when you're working out. So not too much fluid, but if you've got something, a bit of glucose in there, you shouldn't need any electrolytes or salt or things like that, obviously, unless you're doing that after a different type of workout. But just make sure that this one is kind of just representing what a swim session might be like. So obviously just think about when you swim, when you finish certain big loops, when you actually take on some fluid like that. It's probably best to keep yourself nice and hydrated as well with regards to the environment that you're in. Okay, last round then. Okay, starting off with regards to squats. So on this one, you obviously can choose to use weights if you think that you actually needed them. You can have some weights obviously across the front of your body or anything like that if you've got a rack. But again, just make sure that you've got somebody there spotting for you on those particular ones, okay? So on this one here, I'm just going to use some kettlebells. I'm just going to hold it up, flick it up into this position here. Okay, just make sure that you're never putting things across the back of your neck. 1, you'll lean forward. 2, you can easily damage your neck there. So just make sure that they're in that sort of nice, sort of strong position that you're going in. Okay, and then with regards to our squat position, going up to this position here, so we're only doing our half squats. Notice the knees never go beyond the toes, okay? Ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, carefully put your weights down. Okay, onto our press-ups. Press-ups you can always make slightly harder. You can have your hands sort of slightly closer, your feet slightly wide apart. Maybe try that on this one. Okay, so feet wide, these are called military press-ups. Hands nice and close, elbows close to the body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, just make sure you always keep your bottom nice and low on that one. Never lift the bottom up, otherwise it obviously disengages the core. We don't really want that one to happen, just for your safety. Okay, after press ups, you'll probably want to stay on the floor anyway, but single leg flutters on this one. You make it harder by slowing it right down. So let's have a go at that. Okay, so we go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kiss at the top, 6, 7, 8, make sure your hands are under your bottom, 9, 10 halfway, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Bring the knees in before you pop yourself up. Good job. Okay, after the leg flutters, we've got tricep kickbacks. Okay, if you are using a kettlebell, don't use a very heavy one. This one is 4 kilos, it's probably as heavy as I would wish to go on this one here. And I'm just isolating the arm, if I was going to do that, for 10 on this side, and then switch to 10 on the other side. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, hold it at the top, 10, and then switch over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, continue to twist it, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, good job. Okay, after our triceps, just going to work on our lunges again. Okay, so this movement to here, hands on the hips. Okay, make sure that we're not going too far forward. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and switch. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Shake them off. That lactic acid will work its way out. That's why we kind of just rotate between the different body parts just to make sure that we're kind of flushing that lactic acid. 3 lots of 10 repetitions on those lunges, we're probably going to cause more damage than we are good. So just make sure that we are sort of moving that lactic acid around the body. Okay, with regards to the next one, after our lunges, we've got our single arm row. Okay, again, I'll just demonstrate with the kettlebell this time. So on here, making sure that our knees just taking the load off our lower back. And 1, 2, 3, you can do these in a press up position, 4, but 5, I'd rather just work on 6, 7, the body parts that need it, 8, 9, 10, rather than just risking injury trying to do too many body parts all in one go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hip square, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. Okay, now after this one, our deadlifts. However, I'm just going to do the bottle one with this one. So if you're on the bottle round, so very simply putting the bottle down, okay, with one arm. So I'm going to switch legs this time. It's going to really make it a little bit harder for myself, and then come all the way back, and then other arm's going to reach across and grab that. Okay, but that is probably the harder variation of the two. Okay, ready, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, oh, that's why it's hard, 8, 9, 10. And obviously if you like that one, because it's obviously not lifting weights, you can double the reps on that. You can hit that as 20, but I think that's fine, especially those of you that are going with the weights option. Okay, next ones are the lateral raises, so working on our shoulders. You can do this with cables, anything like that, but obviously we're just really trying to work and isolating that movement. So 1, 2, 3, 4, squeeze those glutes, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, last one, 10, good. Okay, 2 more, calf lowers. Some people find if they have a small ball, something like this, they can put that in between their feet, okay, and then that they can bend their knees with regards to the movements and concentrate on the lowering sort of phase. So you might find that something like that really helps you control that lowering of the movement and bending, really concentrate on bending those knees. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could do single leg ones as well, but they are really going to fatigue the body, and certainly don't do them the day before you've done a run. Just make sure that you are foam rolling at the end of this training session to reduce any sort of problems with regards to that. 5, 6, 7, try and get those heels right to the ground. 8, really lower under control. 9, squeeze at the top. Lower, 10. Good job, and come away from it nice and carefully. So these are nice, just squidgy balls, nothing too firm with regards to that. Okay, and then lastly, opposite elbow taps. Again, the slower the movement is, the more controlled you're going to be. You can even do reach throughs all the way across you rather than just touching the opposite shoulder. You can try and reach through there, but you do need to make sure that your core is very strong and that your arms can obviously take it, but we're going to stick with this one for this session. Okay, so feet roughly hip width apart, okay, and we're just going to try and touch 1, 2 without rolling, 3, 4, hips down, 5, 6, spread your fingers out, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Good job, okay? Now remember, apart from hydration, nutrition, foam rolling is that secret thing with regards to most triathletes. This is a nice little portable one that you can obviously switch in your bag if you're going up to races. I also have a really nice long blue foam one which is great for clicking the back and just making sure that that's nice and loose. This one's a little bit more painful with all the little bits on it, but certainly you can just hold that sort of the muscle over that for a little bit of time, 20 seconds or so, until any of the tension goes, dissipates, and then it feels much more sort of preferred. If you have got sort of any particular parts of your body which are really tight, one of these are great as well, sort of a locker room attachment there, and basically that does the same sort of thing. It really gets into that particular muscle. Just have a look on those if you like. So with the foam roller, probably the easiest one to start on with is just going over the calves first. Okay, again, these are brilliant just purely because you can lift yourself off the ground and then just use it to roll across to here. Okay, you can obviously do one leg at a time. You can put one on here, but if you do that with this particular foam roller, it's going to hurt a lot more. Just bringing your body forward and just across it. If you do feel that there's a bit of a tender spot, you can obviously just rest your legs on there, or you can put one leg on top. Really feel that that's going, especially if you've done the ones on these yoga blocks here with regards to that. All of this kit you can pretty much pick up at most of your supermarkets generally. Obviously this period of time everyone wants fitness equipment. Okay, and then obviously slide it down sort of towards your hamstrings. I generally find a good one is if I put one roller under my glutes, under my backside, and the other one on my calf. I can kind of roll both at the same time, and it's obviously really comfortable. And obviously, you know, there's no sort of right or wrong apart from never go over the knee with regards to the foam roller. Okay, just keep it away from that area there. And obviously if you're going onto your side, you've got the IT band there, that's really tender, so just be very careful when you're going over those ones. Have a look at some of the videos, some experts obviously giving advice with regards to foam rolling. James, one of my Facebook friends, he's very good at doing all of that. Okay, so just make sure that you are getting sort of those expert advice with regards to foam rolling, but it is an essential part of obviously how you work. Don't just limit it to the legs, obviously the back, but also on the arms as well. If you ever sort of got, especially after big swims or anything like that, you can actually make sure that you're foam rolling over those particular parts of your arm, okay, especially in that little bit of the pectorals there, rolling that one in. That's quite a nice sort of stretch too. Just 5-10 minutes, but after every session, or again in the evening for sort of 20 minutes or so. That's really going to make your workouts much more consistent. You're not going to hurt all the time. Okay, obviously not charging anything for this video, and I just want to make sure that you're doing those exercises nice and safely. It's a bit more triathlon specific than any other type of you know, chuck these exercises together. Obviously lots of us haven't got access to weights and things like that at this time, so hopefully you found that nice and useful. Please, whatever you do, just try and make sure that you do subscribe to the channel, just purely so when I do upload some more of these videos, and I will, that you're not going to miss out on that opportunity as well. And if you can like it, it just lets me know that you enjoy it. If you didn't enjoy it, you know, fair enough, but essentially this is something that I put forward for some of my clients and for them, and I just think it's great to share that with as many people. I know for an athlete myself, I just want to click on a video, just copy what's on there, knowing it is safe and it's going to be, you know, relatively specific to the sport of triathlon, rather than just trying to lift loads of weights or just trying to look good. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. Okay, my name's Matt Julia, MJ Triathlon Coaching. Take care, be safe.